Hey guys, today we're checking out the Homage4, as in the 4th generation of the Homage. And this one's got some really interesting updates, including features like ABS braking, all sorts of connectivity functionality through the Bosch Smart System. You can add GPS tracking, it's got an alarm system. This one has two 625 watt-hour batteries. Riese Müller really held no punches putting this bike out on the market. So this bike is built in Germany, and looking at it, it's a bit unique. One of the features about this is it's a full suspension bike, but a low step bike. More commonly, you find full suspension on mountain bikes and that sort of thing, but Riese Müller chooses to put full suspension on this bike, and they label it as something called control technology. And the idea is it allows you to control your bike easier. When you encounter obstacles, you go over bumps, those sort of things, the wheels stay firmly planted on the ground. This allows you to have really great traction and better control overall. This bike takes it one step further because they also added Bosch's ABS braking system. That's anti-lock braking. And the idea with that is if you go to lock up the brakes, as in you just grab them really hard, quite often you might skid. This bike won't actually allow you to skid. It'll prevent that. And it does that through various sensors. So it's sensing that the wheels are moving or perhaps not moving, but the bike is still moving, and the brakes will respond by actuating themselves in such a way that it will kind of slow down your braking temporarily, ensuring that you're getting the optimal braking power out of the bike. The Homage is kind of a unique bike. It's really a bike that's designed for a lot of different uses. Personally, I think it's a really good all-round bike. It's great if you want to ride in an urban environment. It does have features like fenders and different things that you might not find traditionally on a mountain bike. With the suspension and some of the drivetrain options and that sort of thing, it's quite capable even on rougher terrain. Now, I wouldn't want to take this bike as more of like traditional mountain bike trails, but if you want to ride a little off-road, some dirt roads, different things like that, the bike's going to find itself quite at home. But personally, I find myself riding more often than not in urban environments, and I feel like the bike really shines in those instances. I'm in New York right now, and I'm finding myself, you're riding a lot of potholes, a lot of rough terrain, just in the natural road surfaces. And the suspension really helps isolate the rider from the bumpy terrain you might encounter. This particular version is what I would likely consider one of the top specs. It's a high-speed bike with Rohloff. It's got the ABS braking, the lowerable saddle. So you have a bunch of different options for this bike. The standard version is a 20-mile-an-hour motor, which uses the Bosch Performance Line CX with the new Smart System, all sorts of different connectivity, loads of different display options. The standard version is 20 miles an hour in the US, and the high speed is 28 miles an hour. Other markets might be a little bit different for the low speed version. In the US, that's how it is here. For the drivetrain, you have a couple different options. And it's even got some hidden features like a lowerable saddle that you can just push the button and push it down. Push it back up. Pretty cool. So the wheels on this bike are 27.5, which is kind of common on more mountain bikes, but works quite well for this bike. More of like an all-terrain type bike, and even in a more urban environment, having these wider tires really give you some good comfort, traction, and even a little bit of suspension, if you will. They're a 27.5 by 2.4, and they're what's called a balloon tire, so they have a little bit more give to them, or they have the ability to do that running at a lower pressure. They have some nice reflectors on the side, as well as a reflective sidewall strip here for some added visibility at night. Pretty sturdy fenders on here. You can see from the other side, you can actually even take a peek at the ABS system. This is a system that actually controls the flow of brake fluid to actuate the brakes as needed to control skidding. It's mounted to a Suntour Mobi fork with a through axle. And this is a heavy duty fork made specifically for e-bikes. The components on it are just a little bit more sturdy than you might find on other lighter weight systems. So this bike has the Rohloff drivetrain, which is a personal favorite of mine. So it's a 14-speed internally geared hub, really a super wide range of gears. So you have a very low gear for going up hills and starting out, but you also have a very high gear, which is really beneficial for riding at higher speeds and that sort of thing. So this is paired with the belt drive, which is really nice. Keeps it very low maintenance and really clean. You don't have to worry about oiling it or anything like that. Just keep it pretty clean and it'll last you quite a few miles. I mean, they say it's, 2 to 3 times a traditional chain, but we see these things last quite some time. So this bike is available with several different drivetrains. The other bike that's available with the belt is the Vario version. That's a continually variable transmission. This one has electronic shifting, and the Vario uses a cable shifter. The Homage is also available in the touring version, which is more of a traditional derailleur and cassette, but it's a nice system and it gives you a pretty sporty feel. And hidden inside of the frame is the suspension. So this is an air suspension, and both the front and rear are air suspension, so you adjust the air depending on your body weight. Really gives you a lot of flexibility and allows you to really fine-tune the suspension to your exact needs. They both also have rebound adjust, so you can adjust how quickly the suspension responds, giving you a bit of a different feel depending on what type of terrain you're riding on. So the motor on this bike is the Performance Line Speed, part of the Smart System lineup, which has some nice upgrades from its predecessor. You can't really see it all that much, so I want to show you from the other side of the bike, but you can see how this is really well integrated. You also have this belt drive with the tensioner on here. Really allows the belt to perform as it should, and still allow for full suspension, which is not necessarily the easiest thing to achieve, but they've done it and they've got a lot of experience doing so. So I'm going to flip the bike around, give you a better peek at the motor. So this small motor here puts out quite a bit of power, actually gives you over 300% of what you can put into the bike, which is quite impressive. It has 85 Newton meters of torque, which is how we usually measure power. It's really capable of climbing even the steepest hills and really getting some speed out of it. This motor provides power in a technology called pedal assist. Basically, it provides assistance as you pedal the bike. It does so using 3 different sensors. So inside the motor, there's a sensor that senses how fast you're pedaling, another senses how hard you're pedaling, and then we have a sensor sensing how fast the bike is going overall. Based on all this information, it's taking 1,000 senses per second and providing you a really seamless experience of power matching with your input. And you're able to control this power with the different levels of assistance. So you have eco mode, which is about 50% assistance, and turbo mode, which is over 300%. But you also have a lot of flexibility in the app, or you can use auto mode to dial in the assistance exactly how you want. So this particular frame is quite unique in that it has 2 625 watt-hour batteries, adding up to a total of 1,250 watt-hours, which is one of the larger battery power systems for these types of bikes. And they do that by placing a battery on either side here that kind of fold out. Both are locked individually that use the same key as the folding lock that comes with the bike. And you could even add additional locks using that same key. Now, if you do opt for the standard single battery, it'll just have one single battery. Now, I should note that the dual battery is only available in the blue color, where the single battery is available in blue or white. I should also note that all Bosch batteries are tested to the UL standard. They were really one of the first to be using that standard, and they kind of set it in many ways as the gold standard for other companies to follow. So you can really rest assured that you're safe with the Bosch battery, especially if you look into the details of how they construct the battery and all the additional safety measures they put in place. From my perspective, it's one of the safest batteries on the market. And the batteries can be charged on the bike through this port here, or optionally, you can remove the batteries and charge them individually. Looking at the brakes on this bike, they look pretty similar to a normal brake, but there's some additional features. You see this little black part here. This is actually part of the ABS brake sensor system, and then they have the fluid actuator. Now, these are the Magura quad piston brakes. These are specifically designed in partnership with Bosch in allowing for this advanced functionality. Really one of the first of its kind on the market, really smart system. And I think some people might look at this and say, oh, well, I'm a very experienced bicyclist, I don't really need this. But I think quite often people might find themselves in a dangerous situation and not really expect it. And ABS can really prevent a crash in those instances, preventing skidding. It's really interesting kind of learning more from Bosch, some of the statistics, and they're able to capture a lot of data and help you understand how ABS is really benefiting you and keeping you safe. Another detail that's really nice about the Homage is its integrated carrier. So with this carrier, it's actually part of the frame. And so as such, it actually moves with the frame. It's suspended with the frame. This rack has a 20 kilogram weight capacity, which is about 44 pounds. It also has this Ebike adapter system, so you can kind of clip in different bags or baskets, that sort of stuff with this system. And then it's got this strap with a bibia strap, put a jacket under here or put a bag under here. Oftentimes putting all sorts of stuff here, and then you just kind of adjust it there. You can also see it's got a integrated tail light, so you can turn that on just to show you quickly. There's brake lights integrated as well. This will accommodate standard panniers on the sides here. You could really load it up pretty good, but make sure you kind of keep in mind that 44 pounds weight capacity. For the saddle on the bike, it's the Cell Royale look-in saddle. It's a gel saddle. It's pretty comfortable, and it kind of has that balance from not being too soft but not being too firm. But it's good even for longer rides. Still works quite well. So you can see the light on the bike is mounted to the front rack here. Normally, if you don't have the front rack, it'll be mounted up by the handlebars, but this front rack is pretty nice. So you have this waterproof bag with the roll top, kind of clips in on the sides. You have the option whether or not you want to get the roll top back with the rack, or you can just get the rack on its own. But really nice welded seams on here. So once you roll it up, it actually becomes waterproof. If you want to keep things in here, don't got to worry if it gets a little wet when you're riding around. And coming up to the handlebars, you can see it's a pretty well outfitted cockpit. Now this is the comfort version, so it has this kind of swept back handlebars and the adjustable cockpit, so you can adjust the handlebars to come back further to you if you want to sit even more upright. But even with these swept back bars, it's pretty upright. And we can see the display. Just turn it on with this little button right here. It takes a couple of seconds. And you got a lot of different options. Actually peel this off. So satisfying. You see all sorts of different details here. Your battery percentage, your light. Your light is on by default all the time. You can technically change it so it's more switchable. Assistance level, right now it's off, but you can switch to different modes. This auto mode is kind of cool. It just really automatically adjusts the assistance to whatever you need. Quite often I'm riding in the higher modes of assist, but you have a lot of flexibility, especially with the smart system. You could control with the app. You can adjust the settings to whatever makes the most sense for you. And you can see this color is actually changing as we change the assistance level, because this bike can technically operate even just with this small display here, which it doesn't have all the same details. But so we cycle through these different options. I forgot to mention, this is the roll-off hub, so you get the different gear that you're in, and you can change that here up and down. Cycle through those different screens. You can see distance, the different range, and depending on what assistance level you're in, it's going to tell you what the range. So you can, maybe you're trying to figure out, how am I going to go home? How am I going to use this for the next couple of days, whatever it might be. You have a lot of information you can go off of here. And then this tells you different details about how you're using the bike, trip details. This is pretty cool. If you wanted to use the app on your phone, you can do like different routes, stuff like that. Really nice to have the navigation on the bike. This is details about the ABS. So it's actually telling you how many times you might have used the ABS. I haven't used it too much just yet on this bike, but I can tell you it works really well. And then you just have the settings mode here. You can kind of get into more details, pair your phone, all that sort of stuff. One thing to note, you don't need to pair your phone, but you do get additional functionality having that. You even have the option if you wanted to have a display that is actually your phone. So you could use this for the controller, and then your phone displays the details with the app. Up here you have some other items. You have the high beam on the light, the horn. That's going to be on the high-speed bikes. For the low-speed bikes, you're going to see a normal bell. You have the dropper seat post. This is the lever for that, or they call it a lowerable saddle. This is the roll-off shifter, but you'll find a different shifter depending on what option you choose. And then you have the nice Magura brakes with the adjustable levers. And you got our little mirror here. And we see Tara in the background. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I'm really stoked about this bike. I've been enjoying it riding around New York City. It's just super plush. If I had to describe it in kind of a very short sentence, that's what I would say. Well, if you want to learn more about this bike, check out the link below, and you can go to our website and get loads of details on it. You can also reach out to our team. They'll be happy to help. They have loads of experience, and they've helped countless people find bikes just like this. They'll be good to help you figure out what the best configuration might be for you. If you have experience with this bike, maybe you want to leave a comment below, or if you have questions, you could do that as well. And I look forward to seeing you in a future video. Well, take care.